Right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the HFRA Standards and Governance Committee. Shall we just ask Jackie first if we have any apologies?
No apologies, Chairman.
For the benefit of the tape, I should perhaps just tell people who's here. We have myself, Councillor Liz Fairhurst. We have Councillor Sharon Mintoff, Councillor Jeff Hockley, Councillor Roger Price, Councillor Glenn, and the Chairman of the Fire Authority, who is sitting in with us, Councillor Carter. Can I enable members to disclose to the meeting any disclosable pecuniary interest they may have in any matter on the agenda for the meeting, where that interest is not already entered in the authority's register of interests, and any other pecuniary or non-pecuniary interests in any such matters that the members may wish to disclose. Do we have any declarations of interest? No. Right. If we could turn now to the minutes of our previous meeting. In your agenda pack, they're on pages 5 to 10. If we go through them but let's go through for accuracy first. Actually, I've got page 4, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7. Is everyone agreed that these are an accurate record?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Right. Now, we have no deputations. And I have no announcements other than to welcome Councillor Carter to our meeting once more. So if we go to the internal audit progress report, is Karen with us?
Yes, good morning, members.
Good morning, Karen.
So, shall I just give an overview?
Yes.
So this is my regular report to this committee, just outlining where we've reached in the year with regard to delivering the internal audit plan. It also gives a high-level summary of any outstanding and overdue actions. You'll see from the report that we're making really good progress now, and with the exception of the final piece of follow-up work, which we've penciled in for the end of March, all work has been scoped and started. So a really good turnaround after a sort of a bit of a slower start at the beginning of the year for all the reasons we've discussed. So I'm fully expecting that all of that work will be completed in time for the annual opinion. So not expecting any difficulties there. You'll also note that the number of outstanding and overdue actions continues to reduce and is probably at an all-time low level. And obviously the detail behind that is covered in the next paper from officers. I think that's all I really need to say by way of introduction, but very happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Karen. I do think it has really turned around, and I'm really pleased at the progress. So well done. I think you must have been working extremely hard. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I have to say, with the full support of our colleagues in the service, and I know it's been a very difficult time with all the other pressures around COVID. So we're really grateful for their full support in helping us to get those audit reviews going.
Super, thank you. Any questions, members? No. Oh, Sharon. Councillor Mintoff.
Thank you, Chairman. Not so much a question as to say thank you very much for your report and sort of the work that's put in. And can you assure us that, I mean, the outstanding ones are going to be they are on track to be completed?
I think it's very difficult to give 100% assurance in the current world, but the way things are headed, I think it's much more positive now. We've always said that our completion of the work was subject to everybody remaining fit and well and the service being able to support us and facilitate these reviews. So, you know, the signs are really positive. That has continued, and that's probably continued, you know, through the the hardest phase of lockdown and so forth. So I've got no reason to think that we won't continue in this really positive way. And I fully expect that we will complete the work in time for the annual opinion. Obviously, I can't give you 100% assurance because there are too many unknowns. But you know, as far as we're able to plan, you know, we're very much on track.
Thank you.
That's lovely. Else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for Karen? No. In that case, can I take the members to the recommendation that the progress in delivering the internal audit plan for 2021 and the outcomes to date are noted by the Hampshire Fire and Rescue Authority Standard and Governance Committee?
Noted.
Noted. Thank you very much, Karen.
Thank you.
Now, if members turn to pages, I think it's 33.
31 is the
31.
31, sorry. To the Internal Audit Management Action Progress Report. Is this on you online now, Shanta?
Hello, yes, good morning everyone. Thank you very much. So leading really nicely on from the previous report, which is obviously SIAP's view of the progress of the annual plan. This, of course, is the services regular report on the progress of outstanding medium and high action. So if you like, this is the showing you the consequence of the audit and what's outstanding. And really, to report and echo Karen's comments, this is a increasingly positive picture. So the report itself is out of date, and the reason for that is the management action in relation to the procurement report. Audit and the SharePoint site that has been closed off. So I updated members last night via email on that, and the reason that it hasn't been reflected in the report is because literally it has been closed in the last couple of days. So if you like, that doesn't apply, which is really good news. So looking at paragraph 7, I believe it is, where we talk about what we have been able to close since previously last year, it's gone from 15 down to 8. So that's an improving picture. Also, just to remind you, I did cover this in the previous time Standards and Governance Committee met, but the actions that are still outstanding in relation to the CFA, they remain on track. And just as to remind members that the reason that the dates have been pushed to April and August respectively is because that's contingent on the preparatory work for the CFA, such as contracts and such like. So in summary, an improving picture, which is fantastic, but really happy to take any questions or comments.
No, thank you. It has really, as I said to Karen, it is really turning around and getting so much better. Members, questions, please. Councillor Glenn.
Thank you very much, Shantha. By the way, may I just offer my congratulations again. Just to say, are we confident that the remaining 4 actions will be dealt with later this year?
My apologies, I was just unmuting myself. Absolutely, Councillor Glenn, yes. I mean, whilst the go live of the Combined Fire Authority, the new Combined Fire Authority, is the 1st of April, there has been significant work in terms of ensuring that there's a smooth handover in terms of all of the preparatory work and the embedding. So obviously in my new role, I'll be taking that on as well, and we'll have close oversight of everything CFA related in those early months. Yeah.
That's excellent news. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Glenn. Anyone else? Gosh, this is going to be a very easy meeting today, unless we run into sticky bits later. Can I take your members then to the recommendation? that the Standards and Governance Committee notes that despite the impact of COVID-19, significant progress continues to be made towards the implementation of the internal audit management actions. Yeah.
Agreed and noted.
Thank you. Right, Shanta, I think you're staying on because we're moving on to item 8, which is the organisational risk register update.
Thank you, Chairman. So to introduce this paper, at the last Standards and Governance Committee meeting, we brought forward the organisational risk register, which is a standing item, I believe, every 6 months. And what was discussed was the need for the committee to be cited on any changes. So it could be that it comes forward more frequently. And as it so happens, with the implementation of the risk management framework within the service and how risk is managed at a team and then a directorate level, there were 2 additional items that have been added to the organisational risk register for noting by the committee. So the first one, if I draw your attention, probably it's simplest to the cover report, and under this background section, paragraph 5, we have added an item which is focused on data quality. So this is very much around how data is captured within all of the different systems that the service uses, and also then the risk that exists that if we don't have data of a optimum quality, it could impact on decision making and planning. Now, to assure members, data quality, as I'm sure you're aware, is something that, if you like, is an inherent risk, because it's not just systems that are involved, but also humans as well. But because of the complexity of all of the different systems we have, of the workforce we have, and whether it's firefighters inputting data into systems after incidents, it's really important that we have a holistic approach to this, and also that there is ownership across all of the executive group, all of the directors, in terms of all of us being part of the solution. Because of the potential impact, it felt right to propose that this went onto the organisational risk register. And obviously within service, what that means is there's a number of different activities taking place to ensure that the data quality is something that improves. I anticipate that in the medium term, this risk should come off the organisational risk register. So whilst I say it's something we'll always live with, because humans and systems coexist and we need our systems to make decisions, I do believe it's something that when we work more holistically on it, we're able to take it off in the future. And then the second risk that has been newly added really links into what I think members have previously discussed on this committee around pensions and the consequences of the McLeod pension remedy. So really happy to take any questions on that, and I'm sure specifically in relation to the pension one, Rob's on the line as well, so I'm sure he'll be able to take any questions on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shanta. Councillor Price, I see your hands up. Councillor Price, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Shanta. The thing which worries me with data, if data is actually held in 1 or 2 or maybe more places, is that item 1 gets modified, but then what precautions are there, or what measures are there to make sure the other bits of the same data held in different places is also amended? That's always the biggest risk in my mind with data.
And if I may come back on that, I think that, again, to provide some, acknowledging everything you said there, Councillor Price, but to kind of assure the committee, is that in this past year, since we've brought in the risk management framework, there has been an increasing focus within all areas of the business on that very topic. It used to be seen as something that was the the domain of a specific team, which actually isn't necessarily right, because it needs to be obviously owned across, because of that complexity that you make reference to, Councillor Price. And again, to assure, I know, for example, within the Ops Directorate, that is something that they routinely look at in their management, in their performance meetings. And actually, we are developing, if we don't already have, measures against that's a key measure for us in terms of what is the level of data quality. So it's something that, as an executive group, we absolutely have our eye on.
Okay, I know also from the pension side is that data is most crucial to the calculations of pensions in the future, and holding all the information, and certainly that the cloud issue is very much topical at the moment, and certainly data is going to be very crucial. Thank you.
Rob, as you're here, and I wouldn't want you to be here and not say anything, would you like to add anything about the pensions while you're here?
Thank you, Chairman. So what's happened recently is we've now got the results from the government in terms of the consultation that they put out. This was whether or not there would be an immediate choice for firefighters, or whether you get the deferred choice. So the government have gone for the deferred choice. So what that basically means is that a firefighter doesn't have to decide what they choose for the remedy period until the point that they retire. So I think I said on this committee before,
that's fine for the firefighter. So I think that is the right choice from an individual firefighter point of view. But from an administration point of view, that is a bit of a nightmare, because effectively we'll need to keep, as we talked, we need to keep the right data. We have to do 2 sets of calculations. We have to do 2 sets of information on annual benefit statements from now until that firefighter retires. So there's a great deal to do on that. But I think the reason we're quite low as a risk score on the risk register is that we have got a team in place already to look at that. We're already collecting data from different organisations, so I think we're well set up to deal with the impacts of the remedy.
Thank you, Councillor Glenn.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm delighted with this report. My assumption is, looking at the increasing risks, i.e. the red arrows, most of them are related to COVID, I'm assuming, and the unknown quantity of what's going to happen in the future. And basically they refer to finance. So most of what I call the increasing risks are finance based. So my assumption is that if we look at the best possible world of us coming out of the pandemic, these increasing red arrows should eventually turn into horizontal yellow arrows, and hopefully then start turning into green arrows facing downwards. Would you agree with that, Shantha?
Yeah, absolutely. So the where it's generally speaking, where it's red is because there haven't been, despite the risk controls and the mitigation we've put in place, it's still, if you like, at an intolerable level. Certainly around finance, Rob's guidance to us has very much been around the sheer uncertainty in terms of the unknown and the inability to have a medium to longer term plan. So that would be absolutely my interpretation of how the arrows, how the trend will pan out. Because of course, once there is a degree more of certainty, it enables our planning assumptions to be put into practice. But I'm sure, Rob, you'll probably have something else you want to add on that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good summary. I think the reason we have recently increased it is, of course, we've been expecting a multi-year comprehensive spending review for a couple of years now, and when it was announced that we weren't going to get one for this financial year, or should I say last year, that meant we were waiting and now until December 2021 before we have any certainty on our finances. So I think we just upped the risk score, reflecting the fact that we were going to be in another long period of uncertainty in terms of our medium-term financial planning, because we've had an interim financial plan for around 2 years now.
Yeah.
Right.
Councillor Glenn, do you want to come back?
The one looking at all the horizontal yellow arrows, it's difficult to work out, because this is a great result, how many of those horizontal yellow arrows were in fact increasing higher risk red arrows before. It's the only way to actually know this is by keeping the original papers from the previous year, so that you can see the trends. I was just going to suggest that with regards to the red arrows at the moment, if there's some way of annotating that they're disappearing when we get the next report, that would be helpful. So then we can actually see that we are doing a good job.
Okay. Councillor Mintoff.
Thank you, Chairman. Looking at page 41 of our pack, we've got sort of arrows in all of the columns, sort of on the in the newest bit, apart from 7, the COVID-19 related wellbeing and safety. Can you give us a picture of where we are with that sort of as of now? Because all the others have got sort of 3 sort of indicators. That's only got 2.
Well, first of all, thank you for spotting that, and may I apologise, because that would certainly, now that you've drawn my attention to it, that would imply that something has changed. I can assure you that is an oversight, so we'll make sure that that's updated. Despite perhaps the hard lockdown of the recent since the start of the year, in terms of that as an ongoing risk within the organisation, there is no significant change, other than perhaps it's an improving picture. The reason I say it's improving is because, as you'll be members will be aware from the weekly updates that we've started sending out, obviously the rollout of the vaccination programme and our ability to take up testing. So sickness has plummeted with respect to COVID. In terms of our welfare provision for our staff, obviously we're continuing to build on that. There is an element of unknown, as there is across society, in terms of, for example, the effects of long COVID and what that looks like. But we are absolutely working with occupational health to make sure that we're supporting all of our employees who have had COVID, and however they may have suffered or been afflicted by it, etc. So to answer your question, Councillor Mintoff, it hasn't changed adversely, and I will ensure that that's updated. But again, my apologies, because it does imply that there's a gap there. Exactly, why is there a gap? There is no gap. Things are continuing as they have been.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification.
Thank you. Councillor Glenn, is that a legacy hand?
Yeah, it's legacy.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Right, members, if we go to the recommendation on page 40, that Hampshire Fire and Rescue Authority Standards and Governance Committee notes the organisational risk register status under the delegated management of the Chief Fire Officer. Thank you, Shanta. I think Councillor Glenn made a very good point that it would be good to see the difference each time. If there's been movement, either up or down. Yeah, thank you. Right, members. If we go to agenda item 9, it's the independent person to Hampshire and Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Authority. We can take this as read, or we can go into exempt session to discuss it. Which would members like to do?
Would you like me to give a brief just overview
Yeah, Jackie,
Chairman,
do go
just
ahead.
a report before we decide whether or not the members want to go into exempt sessions. Just to remind members that at the last Standards and Governance Committee on the 17th of November, members approved the commencement of the recruitment process for independent persons to the authority. And a recruitment process was undertaken with Councillors Mintoff, Glenn and Councillor Price forming a working group. And all three considered the 2 applications received. And in light of both candidates' considerable experience as independent persons, members of the working group agreed that both should be recommended for appointment to provide a greater resilience, having 2 to the authority. And like Chairman said, you see there's an exempt appendix supporting this item. So unless members feel the need to discuss any information relating to the named individuals, then members can consider this item in open session.
Right, members, over to you. Open session or exempt session?
Well, I don't feel the need to discuss anything, Chairman.
No. Councillor Mintoff?
No, I've got no, open session. I don't think we need to go into the exempt appendix.
Yes. Councillor Price, you were the other member of the interview panel. Are you happy?
Yes, I'm happy.
In that case, I should just take you to the recommendation that the Standards and Governance Committee recommend to the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Authority at its AGM in June 2021 the appointment of 2 independent persons recommended by the working group and as detailed in the exempt appendix for a 4-year term with an allowance of £100 per annum each. Everyone happy?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. And I think, Jackie, I think that's us finished for today.
That's all the items on the agenda, Chairman.
Right, thank you all very much.
Well done, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.